Welcome to the Quick Stop Formula One podcast. My name is Nyasha, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Joining me, as ever, is Thandie Sabanda, co-host and co-founder. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great.
You're doing good. You're doing good. How is your weekend gone? How's it going?
Fantastic. It was fantastic. Went to a Funky House rave, met a listener. They were like, do you know what? With Quick Stop, I just wish it was just you because I love your voice and not Yash.
Okay, well, moving on, and we have a guest on the show. No, big up to that. We give it up. Big up to whoever came up to you there. That's really cool. We have a guest on the show. One of our. Well, look, we're gonna try something different today, guys. We're just trying to switch it up, trying to see what we
Mhm.
can do. So we actually invited some fans to come in, and then we've got our biggest fan. Apparently, I'm joking. So
Oh,
we've got someone who we're a fan of came and said, "Oh, I'd love to come on." So our first guest, out of many guests that we have for you today, is she's been on the show already. She's on the Chicane platform on YouTube. Her name is Paris. Paris, welcome to the show yet again. How
Hi
you
guys,
doing?
hi, how you doing?
Yeah,
I'm
good.
here, and yes, I am one of your biggest fans. I do watch all of your podcasts, and
Love that.
I love you guys. So yeah, I am one of your biggest
guys,
Oh,
fans.
we actually have a drunk picture together, or
Do
several
we?
drunk together.
You need to send them to
Yasha will
me.
insert them here.
Yes, you need
I will.
them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll whack him in from the
Yeah,
party, and we'll see how good I look though, because I
I've
was
seen him.
pretty frazzled. Um, so yeah. Paris. I mean, I guess before we get into it, how did you find the race today?
Overall, I thought it was like an okay race. I didn't fall asleep, so it wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was anything to necessarily write home about. Couple of really key moments that could influence things that happen later, like the championship and stuff. But generally, I just thought it was a cool race. There was a few nice things, and it was all right.
It was all right. It was all right.
What about
I
you?
heard
Agree.
some. I heard someone say it was the driest wet race ever, and I think that's
Yeah,
probably accurate. To be honest, it was. Everyone
Mm,
always prays for rain, but it's changeable conditions which make good races. So if it goes from dry to wet or wet to dry, that's what's good because like Russia, you know, the decision on which tire to go on can make a difference. Obviously, we had that, but in terms of like calamities, there was no safety car, no DNFs, there was no no red flags, so nothing really happened. But a
yeah,
lot did happen.
yeah.
Tandy, um,
I fell asleep. I
you fell
actually did.
asleep.
So this whole Lewis Hamilton pitting situation, I'm actually not aware of it. I'm waiting for you guys to explain it to me.
Wow.
Lovely.
Okay. So for the guys at home who may not have watched it, and Tandy, my co-host and co-founder, who is also not aware of what happened, let's get into it. I think this is a good thing to get into before we get the other guests on, and I guess it would be cool to get your opinion, Paris. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get Tandy's, but what we gonna what happened was so
Uh,
we have a race where, much like Turkey last year, the track is an intermediate start, and it doesn't dry out. So essentially, for it doesn't ever get to the point where people need to go onto slick tires, dry weather tires, soft tire, medium tire. Other than one person who tried that, I'll come back to him later. But but so essentially, Lewis Hamilton, like Turkey last year, spent a long time on a single set of tires, which had worn from intermediates into slick tires. Bottas had pitted, Verstappen had pitted, Perez had pitted, and essentially Lewis, after all the things had shaken out, was in third place. And had the opportunity to stay ahead of Perez and Leclerc and chance it and see if his tyres could get to the end of the race without changing them at all. So he would have done 58 laps. I think last year he did 50 laps on his tyres. Or he at some point would need to come in and he would need to change tires, and he would have to pass Perez and most likely Leclerc on track again to get back into third place. I just watched the highlights before we came on,
mm.
just to reacquaint myself with what happened, the team asked him on lap 42 if he wanted to come in because uh, Bottas had come in, Max had come in, and Perez had come in. And obviously, Lewis was ahead of Perez at this point, but they'd asked him to come in, and he said no. Well, I should read the intermediate square. And at that point, he was doing well enough. You know, the pace was pretty much stable, but there was always a danger that the pace would fall off a cliff and he would get caught. Does that explain it? I feel like
It
does that,
I
does.
think that's a good overview. Very good
yeah.
overview.
So Paris, I guess, Tandy, I'll let you digest what I've just said.
Okay.
Paris. Um, do you think that who's okay? Lewis wasn't upset at what happened. He was upset that he came in and ended up fifth, nearly lost his place to sixth.
Yeah,
Was Lewis correct in being upset at the strategy call today, or does some blame rest at his door?
I think he was. I think he was okay with the fact that I think it's okay that he was upset because my view of it is that there's a serious lack of communication that happens between Bono and Lewis. And
Yeah,
we all love them, and James Ball as well, like making the calls. We love them as a team, but there's a little bit of something that kind of is missing between their communication, which is had they said to Lewis, the track is changing or it's not changing. We've seen everybody else on inters, and this is what's happening. If you pit at this point in time, you're going to end up here, or if you don't pit at this point in time, you're going to end up here. That was not made clear to Lewis. So the only
yeah,
thing he can do is go by his feeling of him driving the car. And
Right.
they're not saying to him, your tires are going to blow out if you stay on this longer. They're not saying to him, like, all of that stuff that I think would help him to make a better decision than what he made. So I
yeah,
think he has a right to be upset because, you know, they're just a bit. I think it was you guys who tweeted that they're just a bit like frightful, like a bit tepid on the strategy calls.
yeah.
And I think that's what's like to their detriment. It's not really helping them out right now. So yeah, I think he was right to be upset. Do I think he was right to stay out? I don't know. I think he should have done one or the other, but I don't think the time that he came in was the right time.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've got a point I'll make, but I just want to ask Tandy first.
Mm.
Uh, this isn't the first time I think we've come on the show and um, we've spoken about Mercedes pit wall decisions affecting the race, or even the pit stops themselves affecting the race. So I guess the Mercedes team as a whole, from the strategy guys and sometimes, unfortunately, the mechanics. You don't want to put too much of a hard time on the mechanics because they did a great job today and like it wasn't a pit stop issue. So let's talk about the strategy. Do you think Mercedes? Do you think Mercedes this year are kind of struggling with their strategy and are maybe being bailed out by Lewis one too many times? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. You
yeah,
you believe that too.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. We've
yeah,
established this one, okay.
yeah,
From what it sounds like though, I feel like this is Sir Lewis Hamilton. And at one angle, he's Sir Lewis Hamilton, and if he's saying, I want to keep going with these tires, then sometimes, one's connected with their car. But at the same time, the point of saying, they didn't tell him that the tires could like blow or anything. He's been in the game long enough to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
True
So,
that.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, but we do need to, I think the bigger picture is obviously the Mercedes strategy in general and how it's been the entire season. And if this is just yet another tick on the checklist of errors that they've made, then we might as well just add it onto that. However, the blame's on 90.904%.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think I'd agree with that 90.04%. I think 904. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I'd agree with it. I think for me, I think my overall feeling we were when we were watching it live, I was really annoyed at the time, and I do think that Mercedes are not good at being on the front foot.
Mm.
There's been a couple of times when they've made it work. I think of Hungary last season, 2 seasons ago, when they beat Verstappen and they kind of pitted, and but they were, I think they had a free stop then, so it was like an easy decision. Bahrain. I feel like again they made a decision to pit Lewis when he was chasing Max or whatever, I can't remember, but essentially it worked then. But other than that, when it calls for them to be chasing something, or when it calls for them to have to defend aggressively in strategy, it doesn't seem to work out. And when it does work out, it's because Lewis has bailed them out. And I think this is where the lack of communication comes from, in that they just think that, well, Lewis is Lewis and he's in the car and he knows everything. He's like, obviously he's won 100 races. He's the greatest driver of all time. And I think
Mm.
there's a tendency because of that to just assume that he knows.
Yeah.
And today was a day where I really think, Button even said it on commentary, is like, I don't think they've told him that he's going to lose places.
Yeah.
And then, because the way Lewis was just like, yeah, okay, I'll come in. Lewis is thinking, okay, there's no way they're going to pit me from third place.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop to fifth, and I'm
Yeah.
going to have like 8 laps to try and pass these two cars. Like,
Yeah.
that's a stupid decision.
Mm.
Like, for me, either I know it sounds silly now, and I think for me, I'm okay with it because you know what, we've got 10 points out of it. It started 11th, so whatever. But at the time, it's like we've thrown away third place, and I'd rather we got passed by those two and then fell away, and the strategy just didn't work, rather than you're just at arse end of nowhere. Either you stay out or you come in early and allow him to get the correct amount of like heat and pressure into the tires and get them worn. And
Yeah.
it's a difficult decision, but they're just in the middle of nowhere with what they did today. And it's not the first time they've been in the middle of nowhere.
I think
And
last week was. Sorry,
Sorry.
go for it.
Didn't Bottas at one point say like, "Guys, I really like these tires. Please, can I keep them?"
who said that?
Valtteri Bottas.
Bottas, yeah. At one point, they wanted to pit Bottas, and he was saying that it was okay. But then with Bottas, it was easy to pit him because once Max pitted,
Yeah.
who was second, they could just pit Bottas and just cover that off. So that wasn't a call where they had to wrestle with it. Whereas this one, it felt like they were caught between going for third and consolidating fifth. And in the end, they nearly lost fifth to Gasly.
Yeah.
This is
But
like such a wrong time to be doing rookie mistakes like this, guys. Like, it's such.
It's. I think with them, they haven't over the past few years they haven't been in this position, right?
Mm,
So they haven't had to make these kinds of decisions,
mm,
and I don't think they're doing it well. Last week was probably the first time this entire season where they've made a call, stuck to it, and it's paid off. Like that.
yeah,
That's probably the first race for the whole season where it's gone like that in that kind of way.
How many? How
Go
many
for it.
points are we behind? Red Bull?
Verstappen,
6.
6 points, yeah. 6 points.
How many of those points do you think are down to Mercedes' strategy?
I think you could calculate it. I think you
Yeah.
could actually like look at each race of the season, and it's a quantifiable, measurable thing.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can give you France, where they failed to pit Lewis in time and he got undercut by Verstappen, and there was
I remember that.
absolutely no need for them to keep Lewis out as long as they did. There was another race as well where I was really annoyed with the. I mean, again, this is pit stops, but there's been like a couple of slow pit stops this season.
Yeah.
Monaco, the strategy in Monaco wasn't great. I'm pretty sure they pitted him too early in Monaco, and he got overcut by Vettel and Gasly. So, I mean, these are just off the top of my head, plus a slow stop in Monza and a slow stop somewhere else as well. So, and then you've got the brake magic where obviously that was Lewis's fault. But,
Yeah.
that's how many races? 5, 6 races now, let's take away the brake magic because that's Lewis and that's a freak of nature accident. 4 or 5 races where the team have cost Lewis points. And some people would even say that they're lucky to be in that position where if you take Verstappen's tire blowout in Azerbaijan, then
Mm.
those are points that Verstappen would have got, getting taken out by Bottas in Hungary. So yeah, there's either way. There's you could look at it as either we're lucky to be 6 points ahead or behind, or we should be a lot more ahead. So, but I think you could definitely say, Tandy, for sure, that there is an issue. There is an issue, and I would hope. Let's see at the end of the season if Mercedes do manage to win the title. I would like Toto to really look at that strategy department. I think
Yeah.
it's something that probably hasn't needed to be overhauled for the last 7 years because they've been winning. But
Mhm.
if it continues to be this close in the championship, I think it's gonna cost Mercedes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Where do you okay, look, 6 points, 6 races. It's crazy. Crazy close. Um if you had to choose one driver out of Max and Lewis, Red Bull or Mercedes, who are going to win the drivers' championship, the races left are USA, Mexico, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Qatar,
Oh.
and Abu Dhabi. Uh, Two of those races are new. We don't know what's going to happen at those races, but I'll start with Paris and I'll come to you, Tandy. After that, Paris, gun to your head, who's winning the title?
Um, I don't think it's lost. I don't think it's lost yet. I think Lewis is still, well in there. He showed that today. Like,
Yeah.
bad call aside, he drove amazingly today.
Yeah, no, that's
Do
a
you know
really
what I
good
mean?
point.
Like,
The pace weekend was incredible.
the pace was amazing, the racing was amazing, the overtakes were amazing.
Yeah,
Like, he drove beautifully this entire weekend. Like,
let's give
he
him a
put it
quick
on
gun for sure.
he put it on
Actually,
pole.
do.
Well, other than the fact that he had to give the pole position to Valtteri, but he put it on pole yesterday. Like, he's been on point the whole weekend. So
Yeah,
as long as he maintains that, and then Mercedes don't flop him over the next few races, I think that they could win. Like, I don't
yeah,
understand why everybody's like, oh yeah, it's like it's Red Bull's like season or whatever. No, it's not. It's not yet. It's not over yet. It's not
no.
done.
Tell him
Lewis is
again.
blatantly showing how amazing he still is. It's just that today, it's those little things that you said. Every single race, there's a couple of things, and that's losing them points. But if they didn't do any of that stuff, they'd be well ahead. They'd be fine.
Yeah, 100%. Someone tweeted earlier today. They're like, if Lewis didn't have the penalty, then he's sailing off into the distance
This is
this
it.
weekend because his pace was unreal from
Yeah.
first practice. I also read as well that Mercedes sent him out on 3 laps worth of fuel instead of one for qualifying,
Hmm.
just in case he needed to get another time in.
So he was even
But
heavy.
so he was on a heavy fuel and he was 2 tenths ahead. I think otherwise he would have been about half a second ahead on like less fuel. So it
Yeah.
just shows like how strong he was this weekend that he could set a lap time with probably double the amount of fuel people had in their cars. Tandy, still Team LH? Still think we're going to do it?
Of course, I'm always Team LH. I'm LH till I die, but it's one of those ones, isn't it? Like 6 more races. There's literally no room for mistakes, guys.
No room.
So it's proper tight.
Yeah.
Um, this is early mornings, waking up at certain times, making sure the breakfast is vegan. What I mean, it's very strict right now because I'll start a whole podcast, guys, on this win. I don't think I can take the embarrassment of having them to turn around and say, well, we'll do it again next year because I
Yeah.
can't do that. I don't lose. Okay.
Don't break Candy's heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's too much emotion, and I honestly know Nyasha's gonna actually sob. I know
Yeah.
it. I know this man very carefully, and I know he's gonna sob either way. I'd rather we
I'm
have him
not.
happy tears.
I'm not going to be in a
I'll
good
be
place. Let me tell you that now. I'm not going to be in a good place. I don't want to do this podcast if
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi. If we look, I'm still, I'm confident. You know what's made me confident? The pace of the car this weekend. I think
Mhm.
Max put out a tweet, not a tweet, because he only tweets when he gets in an accident, apparently. But Max said that Red Bull, we need to come with something because the pace that Mercedes had this weekend, we're not going to be able to keep up with it. I think Max was the slowest through the speed trap in
Yeah,
terms of top speed, which is weird because around the time of like Austria and those races, they were
the strongest.
lightning in a
Yeah,
straight line. So um, it doesn't matter what, they've been putting upgrades on that car all season, and Mercedes haven't upgraded the car since Silverstone. And this weekend looked like we were back to 2020 times, to be honest. Like,
I did see a tweet, and someone was saying that it's not necessarily the fact that they only had one upgrade and Red Bull had lots of upgrades. It was the fact that Red Bull were perhaps upgrading smaller parts over a period of time,
yeah,
and Mercedes came with a larger spec package. I don't know how true that is. We don't obviously ever know exactly what they've done on the cars, but I feel like there could be some truth to that, just because over the last few races, Lewis's car has been performing particularly well. Obviously, Bottas has had a myriad of issues that God knows what is going on with that car and those engines.
yeah.
But in saying that, he's also, he's just won this weekend. So I don't know. The Mercedes are on point and they could do it, and I think they should. And I'll join your pity party if
Trust
they don't.
me. We'll
uh,
share a bottle of rum.
Yeah,
yeah, it is going to be quite the pity party. Look, I'm confident, but these mistakes, and it's not even mistakes. Communication's got to improve,
yeah,
and I think they're relying too much on data and not
common sense.
sometimes. Yeah, not what's going on. I think if they were going to pit Hamilton, they should have said, come in like box now, lap 43, 44, and then he's Joey, because it's clear, but just pitting him in lap, I think it's like 50 or 51, maybe 52, like that's just never going to work. Like, it
Yeah,
was never
Yeah,
going to work.
yeah.
So, yeah, not happy. But look, we've got a thrilling title fight on our hands. Paris, before we let you go,
sure.
quickly, who would your star of the day and donkey of the day be?
So I'm going to keep the same star of the day and donkey of the day that I did in our On The Chicane podcast, which we have already recorded. Sorry, not podcast. Marion will kill me. Our On The Chicane
It's
YouTube.
not a podcast.
It is not a
Very
podcast,
clear about
guys.
that.
It's not a podcast. It really isn't. We don't post. We don't have any
Yeah.
podcast platforms. It's a habit. I say it anyway. So my star of the day. You guys say star of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My star of the day was Perez.
Yeah.
I'm a big Checo fan. I'm a big Checo fan. And any chance that I get to praise him, because he gets lots of sour weekends, so any chance that I get to praise him
Mhm.
is there. The way he and Lewis had that little lovely, beautiful battle on site
Oh,
on around those corners, loved
that
it.
was some Fast and Furious shit,
Mhm.
man.
Absolutely loved it. And he maintained his cool. He didn't spin out or anything when he got pushed off. So yeah, Perez was my star of the day, simply for that whole little sequence of corners. And my donkey of the day were the Aston Martin crew. Whoever called that strategy and listened to Vettel when he was like, yes, the track is going to dry out by the end of
Bro.
the race. Let's try some mediums.
Me, not even softs.
I was just like, yo, okay.
And then you hear him on the radio being like, "No, guys, it's not working.
This is not going to work.
Guys, it's not working."
It's nearly span in the pit lane. Unbelievable.
That was
Look,
wild.
Paris, where can people find you? Where can people find your incredible platform?
So everybody, please go to On The Chicane. We are On The Chicane on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. It is me and my co-host Mariam, who sadly could not be here, but always repping for the two of us. And we'll be there to kind of guide you also through race weekends and a few interviews and things as well.
It's an incredible platform. Make sure you go check them out. These guys, Mariam's even working in F1
Yes.
now. She, which is why we were gonna do some Vettel chat with her, but she's escaped,
We're
fortunately.
standing
All right, we'll be back soon. We'll be back soon.
They will
Yeah, thank you
definitely
so
do it.
much for having me on.
No, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, Paris from On The Chicane. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Righty ho. So we're back, and we have got two very special guests. So we put the call out on Twitter, and we're like, look, we just want some fans to come on the show. We want to talk to you guys, and we've got two. I mean, judging by
You missed it because I'd be so pissed if you missed the tweet to come on.
you know what? We had people in the DMs like, can I get on? I was like, bruv, the ting is full up. Okay, the club is full. You cannot come in. Okay, too late. But we look, if we can get this going, then if I can do this correctly, then hopefully we'll do it again. I'm just looking at all of the things. Hopefully this is all working correctly. But we have guests on the show. We have two guests. Welcome to Sinazo and Aisha. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
Round of applause for you. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one by one. We'll just have a quick chat with you one by one. So start with you, Sinazo. Like, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling in from South Africa. I'm in South Africa, repping South Africa. I live in Pretoria, which is, I guess, the capital city of like one of the capital cities in the country. I don't really know. But I live in Pretoria. I'm not going to give you any more information in case somebody finds me and they like land up outside my door.
Of course.
That would be really awkward.
That's fine. No.
But yeah, I'm from South Africa. I'm repping South Africa. Interestingly, I was born in Scotland. I was born in Edinburgh.
Oh.
And then I moved to South Africa when I was about a year old, and so I've been here ever since. So yeah, I'm repping. I guess can I rep Scotland and South Africa at the same time? I think I can.
You can
I'm going to do that.
Whoever you want, mate. Okay, sick. And how did you get into F1?
So I've always kind of been aware of like what F1 is, and knew Lewis Hamilton when he was dating Nicole Scherzinger. But I think when I really kind of got into it was with Drive to Survive. That was really kind of the starting point. And so I was, like I said, I was always aware of F1 and like what it's about. But I think when Drive to Survive came out and I think I watched like 2 seasons in like 2 weeks or something like that, like in a short time span. And then by the time the 2020 season rolled by, I was like, oh, like I'm into this for real. Like I'm watching the whole thing. Last year was the first year that I watched every single race weekend and every single race. And then this year, again, I was like every single race weekend, I'm in front of my telly, like I'm doing the things. And I'm really enjoying it. I liked last year more than this year, but like, it's all right. Lewis is still going to win.
Yeah. Last year was a lot easier than this year.
For sure. And this year it's like, oh, Abu Dhabi, why is it going to be settled there? Can't we have it finished sooner?
Yeah, no, it's not. Let me tell you now, this is stressful, but it's enjoyable nevertheless. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We'll come back to you shortly. No, look, absolute pleasure. And joining us also is Aisha.
Hi.
Hello, Aisha. So, where are you calling us from?
So, I'm a bit more boring. I'm calling from Manchester in the UK. But originally, as you can see by the flag on my wall, I'm from Birmingham, the greatest city in the world.
Nice. I've never seen. Well, is that a Birmingham flag?
Yeah, I didn't even know Birmingham had a flag.
Me neither until I googled it. So
that's crazy. I love it.
But yeah, calling from Manchester. So
nice. And how did you get into F1? Because it's quite interesting given what's going to happen today.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So my boyfriend basically got me into F1, who is going to be on this podcast because he is obsessed with me and loves copying me. This is my first season watching F1. I will admit I was one of those annoying people who was like, why are you watching it? It's just people going around in circles. It's not that deep. But no, I watched one race and I was just hooked. And I was like, I knew Lewis Hamilton. I was familiar with like Sebastian Vettel. I knew the kind of household names. literally nothing beyond that a few months ago. And now I'm again
Wow.
same as you. Every single weekend, I'm in front of the TV unless I'm on shift, ill. But yeah, I'm fully hooked. And
Man, I love it.
yeah,
That's so
so
cool, man.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I've tried to get my girlfriend into it. She's not having it. She's not having it. So
Get my boyfriend into it.
you're who, Thandie?
My non-existent boyfriend.
Oh, shit.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, 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 wah.
I'm gonna ask you guys, like, when you listen to Quick Stop, where do you listen to it? Is it like a morning routine thing? Is it?
for me, it's I'm a messy person. I have a box room, as you can see. I literally once a day I'm like, I need to clean up my room. Every single time I go on Spotify, F1 podcast, I've got a list.
Oh,
And I will
okay.
just sit and for hours as I'm cleaning my room, I will listen to these podcasts. So it's very sad of me, but it's a daily thing for me.
No,
Not at
not at
all.
all.
Not at all. Sinazo, what about
similar
you?
to Aisha, I also kind of doing household chores, and also kind of when I'm on campus or making my way to campus, you guys will be on there. I literally, so I like Aisha, I listen to a few podcasts as well. And so I'll have them stacked up on the days that they come out so that I have a nice kind of stack by the time that I have something
Nice.
to do. So that's how I normally will listen to you guys.
Wow.
Very
Thank
cool.
you. It's so weird, like seeing faces of listeners. All I do is look at stats and numbers. I just see like
Really
percentages. Like, do you know what I mean?
Even
So
thinking that someone outside of like even like London is listening to
it's crazy. No, it's
pretty odd.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The guys, thank you for coming on. Look, we tried to organize this off call, but it was a shambles. So I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to ask. I'm trying to remember who's going to say it. I'm going to ask you, Sinazo, first, and then I'm going to come to you, Aisha, and then Thandie. You can just interject whenever you want. To be honest, Sinazo, who was your star of the day?
My star of the day was Charles Leclerc, up until kind of the bit at the end where the tyres were going a little bit. But for me, I think the thing that was really impressive is for him to first of all qualify P4, which turned into P3. And I think more than that, we know kind of even last race from Sochi, where those Ferrari tyres just fell off and they kind of cost Sainz the victory and kind of P2 and that kind of thing. And so it was really kind of nice to see them hold on for so long. And for him to really kind of still consolidate. I still think that P4 is a good achievement. He was within a podium. And if things had gone differently, if they'd put it early or something like that, he probably would have been on course to get the podium. I am sad that we have a double Red Bull podium, personally. But, Kota is coming up and we're going to fix that, So for me, definitely my star was Charles. I just think he did really well. Kept his composure, was basically unflappable the whole race. And up until those tires really went away from him is when things started to go left. But I think Ferrari really have come far this year. And that's commendable, especially the two drivers. They've both done so well, except kind of, we won't talk about Monaco and Raskas. It was really, they've really done so well. Compared to kind of like last year where it was really like shocking. I remember at Monza where they both didn't make it to Q2 and it was just very, very wild, and like Ferrari as iconic, both within kind of the F1 world. And kind of within the kind of the global sport, I suppose generally everybody recognizes a red car. So it's been really nice to see them kind of come back this year and really be in the hunt, especially Sainz for podiums. But today my star was definitely Charles, so shout out him.
Shout out to Charles Leclerc. Ferrari, well, I think since they did a little upgrade 2 races ago, I think last race they put an upgrade in and that seemed to work. And I think today it's good signs of progress, maybe hinting at a 2022 resurgence. Thandie, any nice words for Ferrari?
Charles did do well today, to be fair. He probably would have. To be fair, yeah, he probably would have been my second option after my first option. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Those are the kind words from Thandie on Ferrari. It's like getting blood out of a stone, mate.
I saw when she took that pause, I was like, she was psyching herself up to say something nice.
There is nothing good about that team, guys. anyway, let me just not get into it, but there's nothing great about Ferrari. I'm not gonna lie to you. The only thing that's very good, the gift from Ferrari is Carlos Sainz, who today was my star, because let's
talking things.
He's too good for the team.
Do you reckon?
He belongs in that team because of the current grid at the moment, but he's too good for them, and he's overshadowed by that child. So that's my opinion. Yeah. There's never been a time I've ever switched off from this opinion about Ferrari, and I stick to it.
No, I love it. Yeah. Look. This is why you're Doreen, you're the first lady, because you stick to your principles. Okay,
consistency.
Doreen, there's no cap in her raps at all. Okay, she's never capped. Aisha, do you agree that? Let's have a quick discussion on this. Do you agree that Carlos Sainz is at least equal to Charles Leclerc, and he should be respected and rated as much as Charles Leclerc?
My personal opinion is, and again, this is only my first season watching F1, so
that's fine.
If I'm incorrect,
all opinions are valid. Yeah. Go crazy.
Just from what I've seen so far, I personally think Carlos Sainz is probably the most underrated driver on the grid. I think that man deserves so much better. Yeah. I just think he deserves so much better. I found out today this is the first time he's been driver of the day. I just think he's the first time. Like, I don't know. I just think
it's the first time. Yeah, first time he's ever had it. Like ever. Not even just this season.
Driver of the day. That's wild. Wow.
In the history of it, yeah.
I just think he deserves better. Like, and no disrespect to Charles Leclerc, because but to me, irrelevant. Like, I don't know. I just don't get the same. I feel excited watching Carlos Sainz race. I feel like more people need to pay attention to him. That's just my opinion, though. Like,
it's a very valid opinion. I think he's that run he had this at the start of the race, when he went from was it last to eighth place or something, and some of the moves he was pulling off. Granted he had a new engine in the back, so they could probably put him on a very high engine mode. But at the end of the day, you've got to make those moves work. There's another driver who was at the back of the grid with a new engine who did not make quite the same progress, and I'm sure that he will be discussed because apparently he never left.
He told us he never left, but it seems like he left today.
It seems like he left early. It seems like a clock problem. We're not going to get into that. I know Thandie can't wait for that conversation. But no, Carlos Sainz is a good one for sure. Thank you, Thandie. I guess Aisha, who do you agree with yours? Either Charles or Carlos, or do you have anyone else who you thought was your star of the day?
I feel like my answer is going to be very basic, but it needs to be said. Yeah. I think that Valtteri Bottas deserves the world. That man, no, I love that man. He deserves so much better. Today, he is my star of the day because he literally just started, he went, he was unbothered, and he just won. And I feel like this whole thing with him going to Alpha next year and stuff like that, it was inevitable. I feel like we all kind of knew it was going to happen. But I feel like he needed this win to just kind of one last way of being like, you know what, like I am worthy of this seat. I'm worthy of this sport. I just think he deserves better. He's so overlooked. And I just think this was clinical from him.
I will say, I don't think that he's overlooked. I think part of the reason why it seems like he's been overlooked is because his competitor or his teammate is Sir Lewis Hamilton. I think that any time that you come up against him, especially kind of in his Mercedes era, you're always going to come off second best. And unfortunately, and part of the reason has been Bottas's own doing, especially and I think specifically for this year, I think that he's been lacking in terms of race pace. I think that today, part of the reason why he was able to get the win was because he was starting at the front. But we've kind of seen him, I can think of the one that comes to mind is Zandvoort, where he was running in the top three, but he just didn't have the pace of Max and Lewis. And unfortunately, if you can't be up there with the big dogs, we can't put you into strategy and in a winning position. So I think part of the problem really has been Bottas himself. But I will say that he is a very reliable teammate, and I would back him over Perez any day of the week.
I like it. If you're a manager, you would normally what they do is say when you give someone like a shit sandwich, so you do like you like do some good stuff and the shit, and then like some other good stuff, but you just went straight for the shit and then just like a little bit of good on top, just to like. I like that style.
I don't feel like I told a single lie. Sometimes you just have to give it to him straight. It's called character building.
I love
To be fair, you are right though. Like you are right. Like he probably isn't overlooked. Like I think I do just like feel bad for him because, like you said, when your teammate is the Sir Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champ, like I don't know. Like I think every time I see Bottas have a victory, part of me is just I don't want to be like I feel bad for him. Therefore, like like my tiny baby. But like, do you know what I mean? I'm just like,
no. Do you know what?
I feel like he needed it. I don't know.
Go on, Thandie.
You know what, Aisha, and also you, Sinazo, I agree with you guys. It is big boots to fill and be, the second driver, and it's mad, isn't it? Like, it's like now, I'm leaving 6 races after this now, and it's like, look at him, like he's doing some. Because on this podcast, one thing we've always said is we've never said Valtteri Bottas is a rubbish driver because he's not. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the seat.
Yeah,
just said we've needed more from him each time, and he hasn't let us down. At one point, he really did just check out.
Yeah,
but it's wonderful to see his last few races not tarnish his kind of his reputation.
Yeah.
Because
I think look, one of the most popular tweets we had like yesterday was me basically begging him not to let Verstappen through. And that was like, obviously I was joking, but there was some truth in that, especially after Russia, you know, how easily it seemed that it went past. And, there is this thing about Bottas in wheel to wheel racing. Can he really defend? And, there was a way, and that's like a general consensus. So I think it was quite good today to see him just go out from the front. He passed Charles Leclerc, to take the lead back, although, Leclerc's tires are obviously absolutely gone at that point. But but yeah, he's still done it. He didn't trip over him. He did the job. And I think that's the thing with Bottas. You're right, Thandie, in that, whenever we're getting at him, it's not because we don't rate him. It's because we just want more from him. And, Aisha, on a personal level for him, I'm really happy for today. I think it was good for him to get that win before he left. I agree with the Checo comparison. I think he's done a better job than Checo this season. I think that's demonstrable by the results that have been had. Although, I will say, if we're going to, I guess it's my turn, I will say Checo Perez is my star driver of the day.
You don't even like Checo Perez.
I don't, but you know what, no, if there's one thing that Quick Stop will do, there's no cap in our ranks, I'll stand up. If I say something and then I get proved wrong, I've got no issue. No issue coming on the podcast and saying, you know what, I did a whole video about is Vettel finished. Next race he comes out and gets a podium.
No, but we haven't had a video where you've counteracted that yet. We're still kind of waiting for that, to be honest. And ever since he's been doing well, we've kind of been waiting for you to drop this video that you keep saying you're gonna do.
What? No. What? The Vettel apology video?
Yes.
I'm never dropping that. He's a bum, bro. I'm never dropping that. Tell you that right now. I'm never dropping that. But I will say that he did get a podium after I put out a video saying he's finished. But that's it. Anyway,
apology. I'm screaming.
The apology was for that week. Okay, it's not for the whole season.
About himself like a couple of weeks ago. So he leaves a lot to be desired this year.
Don't get me started. Because I'll actually start it. But Perez, I said yesterday, he finished, he qualified 7th. His qualifying this season's been poor. A lot of people say, it's always been poor. His race pace has been good, and he would have done better if not for some strategy calls. And also the car was designed around Max. So people gave a lot of excuses. Some people agreed. And today was a really solid race. And, like you said, Aisha, that, I can't remember, so whoever said it, but that move, maybe you, Sinazo, the move with Hamilton going around the circuit was incredible. And you know, for him to defend like that against Lewis Hamilton, like that was better than whatever Alonso done in Hungary for me because of the conditions. I think Lewis's pace was even more than the pace difference between Alonso and Lewis at Hungary. And just for him to be able to essentially be pushed into the pit lane and come back and still, come back and still retain the place. And I think if Lewis gets past, then he's, we're then looking at Lewis cruising up to the back of Mr. Verstappen. And look, who knows what happens there? But for Red Bull, it was critical that that didn't happen. And so, I'll hold my hand up. Maybe we won't have the Checo Perez conversation now. Maybe we'll have it at the end of the season. And we'll see at the end of the season whether
you're pushing for that conversation as well. Sorry to drag you under the bus today.
Who, me?
It's a conversation that's been had, in all fairness to Nyasha. It's a conversation that's been had. I've been in a few kind of Twitter spaces. But it's a conversation that's been had. And I think so part of the reason is, like Nyasha said, like that car is basically built for Max, and anybody else in that second seat is really kind of fighting the car and trying to like make it up the grid. But I do think that Checo has also done some things that leave a lot to be desired. I mean, Silverstone for me comes up. Zandvoort for me comes up. Monza comes up. I know that he made it all the way to third place, but he was messing about in the sprint. He was messing about trying to take positions off track. It was
Imola as well. No?
Yes, Imola. Where he tried to overtake under the red flag. So like as well, Checo, you're kind of like, wait, now what are we doing? But I do like. I mean, we'll give him his props. Like we won't put him on forward watch today, but the time is coming. We're going to have to properly put him up there, and he's going to have to watch out.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a great race for me. I think he needed today. I think the questions had started, and look, it's fine. I'm happy to get dragged on Twitter. That is starting to become a regular occurrence now. The bigger this account gets, the more I'm just like, oh god, all right, do you know what I mean? But anyway, thank you to all our followers. I appreciate you guys, but just not the people that want to argue with us every tweet.
Well, I kind of imagine you guys for like attention, where they're like, "Why haven't you answered my tweet?" And you're like, "I actually do not owe you anything, so you can see yourself out."
You know what? Yeah, public service announcement. All you guys at home, okay? You're lucky that we interact with you the way that we do. These other content creators, they don't give a fuck about you, man.
People.
They don't care. We replied to every
single tweet. Every single one is there.
Okay, so we appreciate that. But if you're going to come into our mentions on stupidness, I'm going to ignore you. Okay? I'm going to pull you off. That's it. Guys, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've got to move on. I am going to ask you quickly. I asked this in the last chat we had with our last guest. I'm just going to ask you guys. Gun to your head. Quick answer. Who's going to win the title this year? 6-point gap, 6 races to go. Hamilton or Verstappen? Snaz will go first, and then you.
Okay,
Aisha.
So if you'll just indulge me for a quick second, I just want to say, your Still I Rise fan cam made me cry. I think I said I was crying in the club, and especially just like So we were having this conversation earlier about like how Lewis Hamilton is a black man in a white man's sport. Not only is he a black man in a white man's sport, he's absolutely dominating, and breaking all of the records. He holds all of the records that really matter. And just to see that kind of like interposed with like the Maya Angelou poem, and it was really just so beautiful. So I really must say shout out. I know you guys had some people who might have helped you, and so thank you to them. But honestly, I watched it. So initially I saw it and I retweeted because I was like, okay, like I know this is a fan cam that was promised. I'm just going to retweet it. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. Even just like the message and like the editing and everything, it was so wonderful. Yes. And so if you guys haven't seen it, please go and see it and like retweet it. It's so beautiful. I can't say enough nice things about it.
I want to stick it on TikTok, to be fair.
Yes, do that.
I might actually.
But gun to my head, Lewis Hamilton is taking the championship.
Good, thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you so much. That makes the 11 hours of editing worth it,
Yeah.
trust me. Thank you so much. That was a
Yeah,
lot of.
by the way, guys, we is very loose in saying all these fan cams. Nyasha sits there in his office and he makes these out of the kindness of his heart. So it's never anyone who puts them in.
Yeah.
He genuinely types in strange stuff to fit in with the song and the context surrounding
Yeah.
it. So
Especially I think guys, especially the thirst fan cam. Okay, that was like
Nyasha was
typing.
tapping into the internet, Lewis Hamilton fixing his crotch. So
Like that's what I do for content,
You
guys.
know, to thirst trappers. So, there's a lot of content out there for you to choose from.
And look, it was probably the most homoerotic 3 hours I've ever spent in my life. I'm not gonna lie, but thank you so much for those kind words. Honestly, really, really appreciate it. Thank you. But you're gonna go with Hamilton, Aisha. What do you think? 6 races, 6 points, very close. Who do you think is gonna win the title?
So, for context, I am basically a walking Red Bull hate account. Like,
Yes!
I'm sorry if I'm being
Yes!
biased. Exactly. I truly, hand on my heart, believe Hamilton's going to take it. Like, I'm manifesting it. I've got my crystals back there. It has to happen. Again, I don't know that much about F1. I promise I'll be better next year. But from what I've seen so far, everyone's been saying this is like one of the best seasons they've ever watched. It's so tight. Apparently, it's not usually this close, like at all. But yeah, I think it's going to be. I do definitely think it's going to come down to the absolute last race. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just saying it because I want it, but Lewis Hamilton all the way. I'm manifesting it.
I love it. I love it so much. Thandie, I've already asked. Who asked you? Did I ask you?
yeah, I mentioned
Oh
it.
yeah. I mentioned another. Okay, that's fine. Anything else you want to ask these guys before we let them go, Thandie?
Okay, so what's your opinion? Wait, okay, here's a question I've been asking everyone recently. On the grid, take away Hamilton, take away Max, where does Pierre Gasly rank for you?
Ooh. I am going to put him up there, kind of towards the front. And I think so. We're not going to count the wet races because I think that the wet races have been our undoing or his undoing this year. But I do think that him being back at AlphaTauri, consistent points finishes, consistent kind of qualifying in the top 5, top 6, like in the beginning, like towards the front of the grid. I think for me, Pierre Gasly is probably the one that I would rate more than anyone. I know we said Carlos Sainz earlier, but kind of all of that aside. But for me, like honestly, and I think part of the reason why I really am a Pierre Gasly fan is to be able to pick yourself up from being absolutely like slaughtered effectively by Red Bull. And coming back to AlphaTauri and like just taking on that leadership position and moving forward and like doing so well day in, day out. Like he's like consistently like good. He's scraping in the points, he's getting in there. Yeah, I would say for me, well, we also won't talk about Monza. Monza was a bit of a mess. But generally, on the whole, for me, it would be Pierre Gasly. Shout out.
Shout out
to the founder of Team LH, the chairman of Team LH.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Very true. Aisha, what about you?
Again, I feel like literally every driver I've spoken about today, I've been like, they're so underrated. Like, oh my god! But no, Gasly is another one. Again, I don't know if it's because I like watched Drive to Survive in like the early months of me getting into F1, but like the episodes on him, that's how I understood his history of like being with Red Bull and his like public demotion and stuff like that. For me, he is miles ahead of the car he's in. I just think it's very frustrating with Gasly because I say this to pretty much everyone I have a conversation with about F1 too. I don't know where his future lies because I can't see him going back to Red Bull ever. He's too good for AlphaTauri, in my opinion anyway, just based on like the car and how it's performing. Again, I don't want to be like, he deserves better, he's tiny, he's whatever, but like I just think he is doing so well for such like a midfield car. again, I do truly think he deserves better. Like he's one of the better ones for me on that grid. Definitely in the top half. So yeah,
I'm happy with all these answers, to be fair.
Yeah, good. I know they're very, very good answers. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna end this recording now, but you guys have been awesome.
Thank you for having us.
We'll link your.
Thank
That's
you for
okay,
having
man. Thank
us.
you so much for coming on. You guys have been awesome. I'm gonna give you a round of applause. Thank you so much, guys. That was Aisha and Sinazo, and we're gonna bring in our next guest, the donkey of the day. Right, we're back, and back on the show we have got Josh and Marcus. Welcome to the show. Round of applause for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to start with you, Marcus, because we've just had your lovely girlfriend on the show. I didn't know that you guys were boyfriend and girlfriend until I was just organizing organizing it all, and you're like, oh yeah, me and my girlfriend. So I guess we hear that you got her into F1. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works both ways. I kind of got her into F1 after my housemates started watching it while she was round, and then she got me onto this podcast. So we've got each other to thank.
No, that's a good relate. Look, those who quick stop together stay together. So you've definitely got a fruitful relationships. And I guess, how did you get into F1 yourself?
It was mostly my housemates. It was never really like a sport that I paid any interest to when I was younger. But then my housemates at uni they've always been into it. And we've watched, they watched every race last season, and kind of I'd bob my head in and out and be like, oh, anything interesting going on. But then towards the end of the season, I really started getting into it. And then
nice.
And then the first race of this season, Imola, Aisha was staying with us as well, and she was watching that, and then she went off and went on a YouTube rabbit hole and came back as like the biggest F1 fan I know.
Wow.
Nice, man.
That's cool.
That's really cool, man. No, that's it. Do you have a favorite driver?
I've got a few. You've always got to root for Hamilton. Absolutely. He's the best driver on the grid. He's the most successful driver on the grid. Outside of that, I like the Ferrari boys as well, Carlos and Charles. Nice. And I love Kimi as well. Kimi Räikkönen. He's a staple on the grid at the moment. I'm going to see him retire this year. But no, I love him. I love watching his interviews, and he just makes me laugh, man.
Fair play. I was watching some Raikkonen stuff with my girl a few weeks ago, and obviously she does not watch F1. She's got no clue about it. And Raikkonen was on TV, and she was like, "Is this guy always like this?" And I was like, "Yep." Like, he's really rude. I was like, "Why are you?" It's like an acquired taste. You've got to once you know about Kimi, then you'll understand. But I guess for someone just new into it, like, this guy does not want to talk at all. But he is funny, bless him. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marcus. No, he does. He's very much like we're gonna miss his radio. Probably more.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna miss that. To be fair.
Yeah, complaining about his drink.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
angry uncle, isn't he?
He's so angry. He's so angry. Thank you so much, Marcus. And also on the call, we have got Josh. How's it going, bro?
Man, it's going great. I'm so excited to be on this. When I saw that tweet, I was I have an 18-month-old. I was rocking her for her first nap. And I'm like, oh shit. How did I get on here? I tweeted like,
I've got to give you the context for that.
Let me holler at me. And then I saw the DMs open up. I was like, yes, it is done.
Yeah, no, I actually got a word on that. I'm really sorry to all the fans, because a few weeks ago I was like, don't message Thandie directly, message us if you want to come on the show. And then I realized that our DMs are not even open. So now I see why. And I feel really bad now, because that's why they're messaging you and not, I thought if I was just thirsting. I'm sorry. I'm protected.
To be fair, his ad is Munch Club TV, so do find him there. Do not come to me and say, have you watched the race? I will just end.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want customer service, Thandie's not the one to go to.
It's not me.
Out of the two of us. What's your 18-month-old called, Josh?
Her name is Ruby, and so she is the definition of a pandemic baby. I'm here in the United States, and everything shut down March 13th. She was born March 31st. And so she has known nothing but COVID-19 pandemic. So it's been good but hard. And Formula One has been kind of my like Friday, Saturday, Sunday like mental health thing. Like I go deep into the rabbit holes of the YouTube and Twitter. I swear like 90% of my Twitter is Lewis Hamilton F1 and then like 5% F1 and then 5% just pure utter garbage. And so I love it that way.
Yeah, man.
And
that's cool, man.
Where are you from, Josh? Because we've just been having this conversation about how your accent's it's different.
Yep. So I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, of T-Pain fame, where he rhymed mansion with Wisconsin. We're just north of Chicago. About 90 minutes north of Chicago. So yes, I do have a very noticeable Wisconsin accent. But it's been interesting because I watch most FP1s and FP3s because that's right around when I wake up between 3:45 and 5:45. So that's like my morning ritual on Fridays. And then qualifying, and the race is over for me by 11 o'clock every day, which is like really nice. So I have like a whole Sunday to do other stuff and listen to podcasts and dig deep into the rabbit hole. No, I'm not. Like I wake up, I'm like, I got my cup of coffee, so
you're ready.
I'm just ready. And then Ruby sits next to me and we go vroom vroom together. It's pretty like, so that's going to be our thing together. I hope. Fingers crossed.
You got to indoctrinate them early. Just get if they know nothing else, then that's it. They're going to love it.
I'm just hoping we won the basketball team in Milwaukee won the NBA finals this year. And so she learned how to say Bobby because of Bobby Portis. I'm just hoping I can get Lewis. That would be like, I can die a happy man if I can just get her when something good happens, just to go Lewis.
Man, lovely. Please, if you do get that, send us a video, please. I'd love to see that.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, so guys, this is the donkey of the day section. You guys know how we do it every week. We choose one driver who or one thing, doesn't have to be a driver, could be a team, could be something, who did not have a great race. So I'll come to you first, Marcus. Who was your donkey of the day and why?
So I'm not sure it was like a driver in particular. I've got a couple. I think it goes to some of the strategists. To be fair, I think some of the strategy we saw today wasn't great. I think firstly, I've got to say the Aston Martin strategists. Seeing when they made the call for Seb to go back out on the slicks, and then we just kind of saw him slipping and sliding out the pit exit and onto the track, and it was a painful lap to watch. And then obviously when he came back in the pit entrance to get back onto some inters, obviously he slid off then, and it was just a bit cringe to see. I was gutted for him. And also I would say Lewis's strategist as well. Because when Lewis made the call to stay out, he felt comfortable. He's an experienced driver. He knows what he's doing. I kind of feel as though the Mercedes should have been a bit more either, if you're staying out now, you're staying out until the end of the race, or kind of be a bit more adamant, kind of say, look, you're coming in now, this is the best time to come in. But obviously, Ocon stayed out for the whole race on his inters, and I think it was in the last 14 laps he lost 50 seconds. And obviously, at the front of the grid where it's that tight, that'd have been a much bigger loss on points, I think. So I think it was damned if you do, damned if you don't, but strategy just went on. I think. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, no, you're right. I think you touched on two things. I think we discussed the strategy calls earlier, but I think it's good to hear like other people kind of say, I guess, similar things. I'm just going to quickly, before we come back to Aston Martin, Josh, what are your thoughts on the Mercedes strategy? And I guess, it'd just be cool to hear what you've got to say, because I think it's something that I feel like everyone's got an opinion of some sort on it. It'd be good to hear what you've got to say.
Immediately, I wanted to like fly to Turkey and slap Bono and the computer that had the call to pull him in.
Yeah.
But I think as
hear
I
that.
like sit back on it, I don't know who tweeted it, but someone tweeted like essentially, and maybe it was you. It might have been you guys, about how like essentially they swapped out fourth for fifth, but they knew they were guaranteed fifth if they came in. And like as I like look back on it, I'm like, okay, maybe that was the right call. But I think Marcus hit the nail on the head when it was lap 42, 43 when they called him in. Like they should have said, Lewis, you trusted us last week, trust us again, come in. And like they should have done that same thing, because he could have looked like Lando. He could have had a Lando moment. And he was really close to the Lando moment, I think, until I think Mercedes maybe saved him a little bit, because there's no guarantee he would have even finished fifth, I think, considering how much, he's a higher caliber than Ocon, but like those guys behind him compared to the guys behind Esteban it's a class of difference. And so he could ended up in seventh, maybe even, and that's just disastrous towards the championship.
I think that's a really good point. I think they saved him. I think they saved him from himself a little bit, but also they should have been. I think they should have just been a bit more upfront with him, more communication, and then it would have got done. Thandie, what I didn't ask you before, I guess what I'll ask you now is, next season with obviously with George coming into the car, and let's say it's a tight kind of battle like we're having now, do you think that George will be able to hit the ground running? And I guess but with everything that Mercedes have now, so let's say George is coming into a team which is like first, sometimes second, sometimes questionable strategy calls, all of these things. Do you think that he'll be able to provide the same level of service that Bottas maybe did?
This is what I've been going on about this whole season, about are we prepared to have this young Bambi in the seat, and how well can he do under pressure? Because Bottas does well. He does, So is this a Mercedes where Lewis wins the championship this year? Or is this a late Mercedes where Lewis doesn't win the championship due to their strategy?
It could be the latter. And I look, I'm as a staunch Team LH, I will never say that we're not going to win the title. We're going to win. But if we don't, as I've said before, there's clear points in the season that we can point to. And I think it's just something that I think any George Russell fans who maybe aren't familiar with Mercedes, I think will need to prepare. I mean, look, they had it in Sakir, to be fair, but they need to be prepared for potential bad calls, because it happens a lot, and it's affected Bottas a lot as well. Let's not forget, there's been a few pit stops where it's gone wrong with him. There's a strategy call, I can't remember where maybe Portugal, I can't remember, but he asked for a 2-stop and they kept him out for ages, and then in the end it messed up his whole race. So Mercedes not great. Not great at all. I'll definitely agree on that. So it's a good pick, Marcus. Thank you.
I feel like, sorry, going back to what you were saying about Russell and Mercedes kind of strategies and that, I feel as though he's already kind of had his first taste of that when he filled in for Lewis, when Lewis tested positive for COVID. I was absolutely gutted for him then as well, because that was just as I was kind of getting into F1. And my housemates are big George Russell fans. So obviously they were cheering him on. And then to see, obviously, what happened, they put him out on Valtteri's tyres, that it was heartbreaking, but I know that's not so much.
I keep forgetting about that. Actually, I forgot. I forgot about the tire. I actually forgot it was the tires. I knew something went wrong there, but I forgot it was the tires.
I remember that too. I was trying to figure out what it was. I knew they messed up his race, but I could not figure out what it was.
Yeah, because he put the wrong tires on, and he got a puncture, didn't he? And he because he was in P1 for a lot of that, for a fair bit of that race, and then obviously to come crashing down, it was gutting for him.
Cool. Thandie, say something.
Hello.
Could you come
It
off the
does that
call?
all the time. I don't know why it does this.
Okay, come back off. Go off the call and come back on again. Yeah. Wicked. We will carry on. Yeah, no, it's great for George to come in, and obviously, like I say, he's had that experience. But yeah, it is. Mercedes can't keep, especially if they've got like a young protege that's kind of coming into the team next season. Like they can't mess him up like they did in Sakir, like they're doing with Lewis, because Lewis has the ability to make these comeback drives, despite the strategy work out. Whereas George, I don't think he's going to have as much of that chance to be able to make up for bad strategy calls. And in his first season, they're going to want it to go as smoothly as possible. So, just a word of warning there. Josh, we're going to circle back to Aston Martin because I've got things to say about Aston Martin, but and a certain driver. But Josh, who was your donkey of the day?
All right, I'm gonna go like donkey of the last 2 weeks, Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, click on it.
So I'm like, so I work with fourth graders here in the United States, so 9, 10, 11-year-olds, and that dude just was bitching and moaning for 2 weeks about the FIA.
Oh my god!
Probably should have got a penalty for qualifying and not yielding to the double yellow, but oh wait, the FIA doesn't like certain people. And then first corner on the team radio goes, "That bitch Pierre pushed me off," or something like that, and then does the exact same thing either later in that lap or 2 or 3 laps later. Yeah. And like, I'm just like, no. So because I wanted to give it to Mazza spin, but I feel like he always does something to always earn that donkey of the day. But I felt like Alonso he likes to hear himself complain about something and then do that exact same thing. And I was just like, Alonso, come on now, because Pierre could do nothing. Pierre was clearly boxed in or sandwiched in. The other like small donkey I have is I blame Michael Massey for not opening up DRS. Last year, in significantly worse grip conditions, they ran DRS for a good chunk of the race.
Yeah.
And today there was nothing, which I thought was interesting and I think was super detrimental to like a guy like Lewis coming through the pack, where I don't think he would have been held up by Tsunoda as long as he was, or Checo as long as he was. I think it really did hinder some of the like movement in those back 2 straights.
Marcus, I will come to you and just get your thoughts, but Thandie loves a conspiracy theory. I don't know if you guys know. She is a conspiracy theorist specialist. So, Thandie, you've heard what Josh has just said there.
Yeah.
Could we be looking at a situation where the FIA, in a bid to keep the title fight as close as possible, have inexplicably not turned on DRS to allow Hamilton to come through the grid in a considerably faster car, as was proved in practice and qualifying, pardon me, and to keep the title race as close as possible? Or do you think, safety-wise, it just wasn't safe enough for them to put DRS
I feel like the conspiracies just write themselves at this point. Exactly everything you've just said is exactly what I've been thinking for the past time. I'll also like to add on that I feel like the FIA choose to penalize people for different things at different volumes. Certain people are getting away with stuff that they're not getting away with. Got to keep it entertaining. I hear it, but definitely I agree. And I also think the FIA are paying Sky. There's a certain percentage going into Sky Sports from the FIA. Rupert Murdoch's involved in that. And I
What
also,
for? What are they paying them for?
they're paying, who's paying who, sorry?
Why are the FAA paying Sky? Just out of interest.
So they keep this Hamilton agenda going. You know what I mean? I also think there's a mole in the Mercedes team who's been working with. I do, you guys. I do. I'm so.
I got us started.
This is awesome. I
think
can just
there's
listen to this
There's
all.
a mole in Mercedes who's been working with Red Bull, kind of informing them on the email thread. They said this today. They're doing this. They're planning on not pitting Hamilton at this point.
Wow.
They'll say I'm a crazy woman, but watch when it comes out. Watch
serious accusations.
WhatsApps.
Look, we heard the leaked WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. Look, you heard it here first. Okay, there's going to be leaked WhatsApps.
Yeah.
And if anyone asks, F1, Quick Stop F1 broke it first. Specifically, Thandie Sabanda, your F1
and
in the know.
They have these like meals where they all meet up, a bit like what everyone imagines the Illuminati meet. They all wear masks and they all link up. And the guy who actually brings the food, like, you know, people bring a plate, is Alonso. He actually brings a plate to this hate group. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, right. Okay. So like Sky, FIA, and Alonso just having an Illuminati meeting together.
Yeah, they all love Alonso's pie. Apparently, he makes a great pie.
Okay. Yeah. Look, Alonso makes great pie. Okay. And I'm never going to cuss him out again, because from one cook to another, I appreciate a man with a good pie. Pastry. Mean pastry. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
That was as excellent as I thought it was. Marcus, thoughts on, I can't remember who your donkeys were now. Was it Alonso? And who was the other one?
And the FIA for no DRS.
Yeah. But I mean, after all that conspiracy theory talk, the only thing I can think of now is Alonso sat baking a pie. I mean, you've... I want to try it.
No, I want to try it.
Would you eat anything that Severus Snape gave you?
Not sure. Probably not.
Okay.
Maybe it was Alonso.
Yeah, maybe it's Alonso. But I guess what I will ask you, Marcus, is... with regards to Alonso, do you think that he has, he seemed quite annoyed going into this weekend about the response to his lap one, turn one incident where he cut the corner in Russia, and obviously he didn't get any penalties for it, but he seemed to be quite annoyed that, you know, people were, I guess, discussing it. Do you think that maybe like his pressure on the FIA maybe helped him out with regards to the yellow flags, or do you think he was like justified in that? Is this just Alonso playing mind games? What are your thoughts, I guess, on Alonso and just how he is at the moment, to be honest?
I'm not sure really. I feel as though having a driver, you know, obviously come back into the sport who's like been so prolific in the past. Obviously, I feel like, you know, whether it's on purpose or not, they might get slightly preferential treatment, just because there's such a familiar face, there's such a familiar car on the grid. But I'm not sure about that. I think when like Josh said, Alonso being one of his donkeys of the day, he was on my shortlist as well. He was one of the nominees for the award. But because I thought, as you know, as he said, it just seemed a bit rash. It was a bit of a kind of lash out.
Yeah.
But whether he gets preferential treatment, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I would definitely say it was very, like, his head was hot. And he's gone into that move, and he's just, I mean, there was no way he was making it. You know, I think his front tire clipped mixed back left, back right, sorry. So, you know, that shows how far away he was from making that move.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, after qualifying in fifth, which was, you know, the team's best qualifying result?
I think so, yeah.
You know, I think obviously he came into today, getting ready for the race with high hopes, thinking, you know, as we all were thinking, what's Fernando going to do from there, kind of thing. And then as soon as, by accident or not by accident, I don't know, when Gasly kind of pushed him wide and he spun, whether that made him kind of lose his cool, maybe he just thought, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna go back and be a bit more aggressive. I don't know, but that's the way it seemed to me. And I mean, we were all watching it in the pub, and that kind of seemed to be a bit of an agreement among us all. He seemed to be a bit angry about it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Josh, sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, but can we talk about how Gasly gets a penalty for that? Like, I wish when and that was a quick decision too. Like, they made a decision in like 2 or 3 laps.
It's crazy. Some of the things that we've seen people get away with on the first lap, for Gasly to get a penalty for that. Some of the things Max has done on the first lap, and then for Gasly to get, I mean, that was. I understand that he span Alonso around, but he was drifting. He's trying to avoid Perez on one side. He's got Alonso going around the other side. He didn't really have anywhere to go. I mean,
the only thing he could have done was backed out. And if he backs out, he's getting rear-ended by whoever's like. There was nothing he could do. So I'm like, I know you guys have talked about racing incident versus not a racing incident. Like, I don't know how you give him anything in that situation because there was nothing he could do.
I don't think he deserved it. Thandie, do you think he deserved a penalty for that?
No, I do not. But I do know if somebody else had done it, it would have been a completely different story.
Yeah, I agree.
Say no more. Right. So, I don't know. I feel bad for Gasly. And you know what? If he didn't have that 5-second penalty, he finishes ahead of Hamilton today as well. So that's compromised his race completely.
Yeah.
And very lucky for us as Team LH to get that call because that's more points lost than championship. We could look back on that as the saving grace in the championship. So who knows? My donkey of the day is Sebastian Vettel. Like, I don't know when we're gonna start judging this guy on the standards that we judge everyone else on. But for me,
he turns the lights off when everyone's gone home.
Well, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I love the person steps will come. I think it's what people need to realize. Yeah. A lot of people, and it's great, have come into the sport, and Vettel's this like nice guy. He's the good guy. He does a lot of. He's not always been that guy, bro. Like, let me say now, Vettel when he was winning was like hated. Yeah. I still carry that in my heart. Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm biased, okay? But I just think the standards that we would expect of someone, Stroll is making it into Q3. Vettel's not making it into Q3. Already that's setting off alarm bells. Obviously, between him and the team, he has to take his share of the blame for thinking that the tire, the track was good enough for dry tires, let alone good enough for medium tires. I mean, in no world were those tires ever going to work. He was a danger to himself. He was a danger to others. And I just think, the podium aside, I think he had a good period. Azerbaijan, the Monaco result, obviously the podium that got taken away in Hungary, maybe? I can't remember where it was, but the podium got taken away. So there have been good results, but for someone that was supposed to come into that team and really stamp his authority on it, show Lance Stroll, who's boss. I think Lance Stroll has finished ahead of him in the last 5 races or so. For me, for Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I'm not gonna, if Lewis wasn't performing to the correct level, we wouldn't be able to say, oh well, he's a campaigner, he's an activist, that makes up for it. Like, we've got to keep this shit separate, man. And for me, I'm tired of Vettel's personality overshadowing what is, I think, a pretty mediocre season, to be honest. And next season, if he isn't beating Lance Stroll consistently, then I just don't think I don't know why they'd give him another contract. I don't know, Thandie. Am I chatting shit or not? Like, I don't know. Like,
No, you're not.
I'm not.
You're not. Fair play, yeah. But I think sometimes you're a bit nasty about him.
Yeah, maybe I am. For real, yeah, maybe I am. But like, there's no same with Bottas. Yeah, we're nasty about people we expect more from.
We do. Yeah,
and like
right now with him now.
Yeah, I expect so. I just want more from him, and you can't even say it's a car when your teammate is beating you, and that's like, you know, and your teammate is Lance Stroll. So it's like, not that Lance Stroll is bad, but Lance Stroll is not better than Sebastian Vettel.
I remember on the first episode me mentioning something about how I felt like the only reason Vettel's still here is because at this point he must just have a deal with Aston Martin, and they're like, you might as well just go into the car. Yeah,
I feel like they offered him a very sweet deal out of Ferrari, and he's like the face of Aston Martin. It's a prestigious band, and he's obviously, you know, but I don't think he's great. Look, Marcus, and I'll come to you, Josh. What are your thoughts? I guess let's leave aside this weekend. What are your thoughts on Vettel's season so far?
Yeah, I mean, kind of exactly what you've just said. Me and Aisha were talking about this in the pub today, actually. And you know, when he was essentially, it looked like he was driving on ice at points. And I just said, this is exactly why you should quit when you're ahead. And you know, I like Seb, but I can't help but agree. And I think, you know, not to kind of go away from talking about Seb, but might be controversial. Part of me thinks the same about Danny Rick as well. I don't think he's bringing the results that we'd expect to see him do. I know he won recently.
Talking
I can see the look on your faces, man. I can see the look, but
no,
I do kind of think that, you know, I know we won. I know McLaren got a 1-2 recently, but you know, talking about week in, week out performance, I don't think I'm seeing that from Seb or from Danny Rick, to be honest with you.
How many? Seb has had one podium win this season so far. Yes.
Yeah, he's finished on the podium once. He did finish on the podium in, I think it was Hungary.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And then, but basically, it was Hungary. But then he didn't have enough fuel for a fuel sample, so he got disqualified.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah. So there was, it's technically two, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it doesn't count. So,
okay. And Seb's had one where he's been on.
Yeah, Seb's had one. Yeah.
But the other one, that other podium went to Lewis, didn't it? So, you know, we can't complain.
Yeah, no, we will not that with both hands. Josh, who has had a more disappointing season, Daniel Ricciardo or Sebastian Vettel?
I got to give Marcus some props for that call, because I was not thinking Danny Rick was going to come up in the conversation of overrated drivers right now. So I feel like, let me start with Vettel. I think Vettel's only on Aston Martin because Daddy Stroll is okay with his son being the best driver on the team.
Yeah.
Like, I think Daddy Stroll's not going to bring anybody onto that team who is going to beat him. Like, I look at them as Red Bull light in that regard. Like, Red Bull will never pull a driver who has the ability to even keep up with Max. Like, I don't think that's something they would do. Danny, I don't know. I kind of agree a little bit about the Danny Rick call. And maybe, you know, he got a win deservedly. He deserved the win.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it fell into his lap, but he still raced a damn good race. But outside of that, he's been kind of shit all year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 14, 15 today?
Yeah, I think he was 13th, 14th.
Somewhere
he
down.
He was like 11th, and then I think he was on a strategy where he came in very early. Oh wow!
Yes.
Where did he finish? 13th. Yeah,
he came 13th there. Yeah.
So he was 11th for a while, knocking on the door, and then he basically ran out of tires because he pitted so early. So he made up a lot of places, but the places he made up was through strategy. And I think if you compare that with how Carlos Sainz came through the field. You know, both of them had new engines. Both of them moved to new teams this year. Both of them had, same amount of testing. And, the difference, you look at Carlos Sainz at Ferrari, you look at Daniel Ricciardo at McLaren, it's a world of difference. And, next season, I think we're all expecting, a much better Daniel Ricciardo, but, all we can say that this season it's been disappointing.
You lot told me he was going to get better.
We did. It's look. Sorry, can I say that again, Josh? Sorry, Marcus.
Yeah, I would say that's what we keep hearing. That's what I love Danny Rick. I think he's a great guy. He seems like a lot of fun. But my housemates are really big fans of his, and they keep saying, he'll do better, he'll do better. But it never really comes. And I know he's, people say he's past his prime, but I expect a lot more of him than what actually kind of materializes at the end of the day.
That's fair.
Yeah. Very, very fair. Very fair. Okay, guys. So thank you for your donkeys. Have I asked everyone? Thandie, have I asked you?
Yeah. Well, I think it was clear. Mine was Severus Snape Alonso.
Okay. Yeah. Fair play. Severus Snape Alonso
at the start of the race.
Yeah, and his pie.
Yeah.
I love that.
That, guys, is why Facebook and WhatsApp was down last week.
There you go.
Because he was making his pie. He was baking a pie. That's why it went down.
Yeah, I knew it. What a crafty guy. Guys, so before thank you so much for coming on. It's been so cool having you guys on. Really quick, we've asked all the other guests. 6 points, 6 races to go. I'll ask you first, Josh, and then I'll ask you, Marcus. Who is going to win the title this year? Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen?
I mean, I'm Lewis Hamilton to the day I die. The only reason I watch F1 right now. And so I do think if I'm Red Bull, and you could hear it, I don't know if you guys watched the post race with Christian Horner, where he was talking about how he sent emails to the FIA about this extra speed. I think Karen is shitting his pants right now. He's scared because I think he sees the writing on the wall that the advantage Mercedes had or Red Bull had at the beginning is disappeared, and to be honest, is gone. I mean, when Max can't keep up with Bottas, that's a bad sign. And we could say, oh, well, Turkey is a Mercedes track. I mean, Bottas beat him by 23 seconds. They were in, I mean, he was doing a different race. I mean,
14 seconds. Wow, that's a lot.
And so, Max said the hardest part was staying awake because he couldn't keep up with Bottas. And so I don't think, I think Mercedes will win next. I think Lewis will win next week. And then I think it's game on, but I think Lewis is going to win because I think Lewis knows when to back out to win a race versus Max's I'm going to crash into you. Because I mean, Checo can go wheel to wheel and has proven that Lewis won't just crash into me. And so I think Max cracks in like the second to last. I think something happens where Max loses it in the second to last race, and then that's it.
Ooh.
No, I hear that still. Yeah. I look forward to it. So what are you saying, Thandie?
I said I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I like that outcome.
100%. Marcus.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said. It is game on, and I think it's exciting. I think the next, the last 6 races, they're going to be good. They're going to be good fun to watch. I think I feel like I'd feel more comfortable answering your question after the next race in America because 6 points between them. I feel as though that could really be the I can't think of the word, but I think that's really going to be where either the gap just widens and stays that way, or where the fight carries on, and then the eventuality that Josh said that comes to play. I think because I heard a thing today in one of the I think it was one of the commentators said that the 6 points, if Lewis was to finish in first next race, and Max was to come in second with the fastest lap point, that they'd be neck and neck at that point.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that's where it could, if that was to happen hypothetically, I feel like it could really heat it up. But no, I'm hoping Lewis. I really hope Lewis. He's matched the world record for the most amount of world championships. I'd absolutely love to see him beat it. And also, kind of to deny Max another year without a championship. That'd be beautiful to see.
That would be that'd be lovely.
Amazing.
For that. I love that. I don't want to know. You know what? The thought of Verstappen going wheel to wheel with Hamilton with the championship on the line with a couple of races to go is actually giving me heart palpitations. I don't even want to. I don't want to see that. Thandie.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say to the guests before we kick him out,
guys?
Kindly.
Where do you guys tend to listen to Quick Stop F1? I've asked everyone this. Like, when do you fit it into your day?
Say again.
When do you fit it into your day?
When do you fit the podcast into your day?
So I kind of like listening to podcasts and people talking and that when I'm like commuting to work. I find like if I'm listening to a podcast when I'm just at home, kind of doing bits of admin and that, I can never really fully focus, and then I'll have to rewind it a bit and kind of pick up again. But when I'm commuting, there's nothing better to do. I just stick a podcast on and call it a day. It just takes the time away.
Josh?
I do like when I wake up Ruby and then when I put Ruby to bed. So I'll put one ear in because she's not talking yet, so it's easy. So like when I'm getting ready in the morning, I'll throw it on in the shower. I'll throw an AirPod in, get her ready for daycare, and then I'll usually split it in half. So then when I put her to sleep, I listen to the next half. And so it's like my perfect little yep, this is daddy alone time. She's sleeping either in my arms or getting ready. And so that's usually like my go-to because you guys come out on Tuesday mornings here. So it usually works out perfectly for me. I get it Tuesday morning and I'm just ready to go.
Oh, interesting.
Very sweet. Thank you very much, man. Guys, it's been such a pleasure having you on. I'll give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for coming on. That was absolutely lovely. We're going to close the show off now, but thank you so much, guys, for coming on. That was Josh and Marcus.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. It's been good. Cheers.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, guys.
That's okay, guys. Thank you. Well, that was so much fun. That was
so much fun.
I really enjoyed that.
My heart just meeting people from around the world who actually know the terms of this podcast. Like, I think someone at one point was like, "No, we're not gonna put them on fraud watch," and I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah,
listening to us.
That's crazy. No, it's so cool. Like, someone from South Africa, Wisconsin. We had a couple.
There's a couple who listen to us.
That's crazy. Guys, we just want to say we appreciate all of you kind of following us and subscribing to us. Just sticking with us when I'm messing up the pod recordings and when they come out at irregular times. We really appreciate all the words of support, and thank you to all the guests that came on today.
Sorry to anybody who obviously did not make it on today and did not actually see the tweet.
Yeah.
Maybe you should either put tweet alerts on, but we will definitely do this probably again soon.
Yeah, 100%. We'll probably do this again in the off season. And we've got so much cool stuff kind of coming up that we can't wait to show you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. We're going to put links to the fan cam. We'll put links to... What else did I put a link to?
The fan cam. That's it.
That's it. I'll put a link to the fan cam. And I hope you guys enjoy your week. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the next race in COTA, which is America, Texas.
Is it COTA? Then, is that what it is? It
Circuit of the Americas,
Houston, isn't it?
COTA.
Is it not Houston?
No, it's in Texas, Austin, Texas, but
Austin, that's it.
Austin, yeah, but they just call it Circuit of the Americas,
Oh,
in
okay.
South Dakota.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you after Austin. We have got a very special American guest coming on, so that'll be cool. And if I'm correct, we're having dinner with Trayvon tomorrow. So
we are.
So that's the kind of things that we do. Do you know what I mean? Just got Oscar winners coming around for dinner. So
we like just going for dinner.
Just go, yeah, I mean, come around for dinner. Let's break bread. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and take care. See you next week.
Cool.
2 weeks. Cool.
2 weeks.
Goodbye.